to Facebook. So let me see if it's connected this time around. Periscope is good. YouTube is good. What's going on with Facebook? Let me check it. For some reason, I'm not good on Facebook. Okay, well, I see Facebook here, but I don't see Facebook. Oh, okay, let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I see Facebook here, but I don't see Facebook on my thing. I don't know what's wrong with it. And I don't like it. Sorry. I'll have to go and delete. I have to go and delete. Um, no, I want my chat open. I want my chat open. I want my chat open. Hold on. Now I'm looking orange. Let's see. Oh, there goes Facebook. Okay. So chat is open. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so chat is open. So let's kind of go back and kind of start over. So basically today we'll be talking about 5 discussions to prioritize in Black churches. I just started by saying that um, we have or we need to understand that we are in a place where we are consciously aware of what's going on in the world and in our community, right? We're at a place right now where we understand systemic racism. Like that's a whole word right now. It's something that everybody is familiar with or becoming familiar with. And we are learning about systemic racism and oppression, right? Discrimination, prejudice, all of those things. We're learning about those things. What I would like for us to do, because I realize that for Black people, the church is our cornerstone, right? Coming out of slavery and all of that, we haven't had the main thing we could rely on and depend on has been God. Harriet Tubman depended on God. She said he gave her a vision in the middle of the night or whenever, and literally gave her a pathway, which created the Underground Railroad, which we know she freed African American people just utilizing the vision that God had gave her. Quite frankly, the Bible has been one of the only things and one of the greatest things that we've had in our community, that gives us a sense of hope. It provides for us a sense of calm, right? Peace, and also some authority. It lifts us to a place where we believe we can have, we can have what we say. And I think I just busted up my mouse. Sorry. And I did. Okay, hold on. Let me stop. How did I do that? And where's the bag? Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So let me try to get this situated because I'm going to need this. I'm not going to stop. We're going to go ahead continue because we're going to, I'm clicking stuff off. Oh my God. I'm going to sit my keypad over here because there's not enough room. Okay. So here we are. Sorry about that, guys. Let me reset. Let me reset the room. No, this ain't Clubhouse. So let me reset what I was saying. So we're at this point of conscious awareness where we understand the things that affect our community. We do understand that the church is the cornerstone in the Black community. So all of those things are just a part of our existence, right? So I want to talk to us a little bit out before I jumped over to this video, because the other video didn't have Facebook going. At least I thought it didn't. So I wanted to jump on here and just have this discussion about 5 discussions to prioritize in the Black church. Have you ever wondered how it is year after year after year they are able to understand certain things about us, right? Sorry, guys. Hope I don't sound like I'm all salivating in the microphone. Okay, so how do they have us Black people all figured out? Right. So as we're moving into having this discussion about the 5 things we need to prioritize, let's just think about for a minute, how do they have us figured out, right? How do they know that by 2030, African Americans will have no wealth? How do they know that how many Black people will end up in prison, how many will drop out of school, how many are likely to get pregnant, how many are likely to, what percentage is more than likely to be at the poverty line or close to it? How do they know all of these things about us? How do they know the percentages of us who will graduate from medical school or school in general? How do they know all of this information? They know this information because of data and statistics. And they know because of one word is called projection, right? There are certain pieces, there are certain parts of life that can dictate where you will end up as a result of behavior, as a result of economic or lack of economic financial structure. There's all this information based on environment, um, education, lack of education. All of those things kind of filter in, and as a collection of information, they are able to project where we will land or what the result will be for our future. It's kind of that simple. And so these are the types of discussions I believe we need to have in the Black church if we really truly want to elevate our communities. So I am Kathleen, your conscious coach. I'm also the author of the Conscious Book Collection. Okay. Yay! This is the Conscious Hour with Kathleen, your conscious coach. I am chosen. I'm an educator, author, speaker, and writer. And I am the author of the Conscious Book Collection, which you can see right behind my head on the wall. Um, all of these books are written to increase the social and emotional balance within our community. They're also written to bring us to a place where we can participate in diversity, in equity, and in inclusion, right? So we don't get left out. We do not want them to be able to set the markers for our life based on our environment and all of that, because within that, I just want us to understand we have full right reign and all the tools we need to shift and to change that. So let's talk about that. And I'm going to try to go through these in relative time. So, 5 discussions to prioritize in Black churches. The first thing I want us to understand is what has been brought to us is what I term unstructured religion. Unstructured religion has to do with this false notion, an emotional and charismatic church that has a tendency to pull Black people in and to teach them about Jesus. However, they teach them no family skills, right? No life skills. They don't give them a foundation to actually build up on and to set expectations and goals for their life. Now, I'm all about Jesus. I'm a woman of God myself, an evangelist. Some call me a prophetess. I know I can prophesy, but I don't call myself a prophet. Um, but I know I do prophesy sometimes. I'm a seer for sure, you know. So I'm a teacher, and so I seriously take the gospel seriously. I really, really do. It's just a part of the fabric of who I am. However, I did notice, and I do notice, that within the church there's a separation from religion, right? Our worship, our servitude, our thankfulness, our grateful attitudes, and our structured life, right? That's family, that's wealth building, that's community, and all of those pieces that must be present in order for you to be a part of a productive society without fear of being in an environment, in a place, or at a point where you fear for your life and other things that come along with some things we never really hear about in the church. So let's talk about the first thing, because unstructured religion, I think I said this earlier in another video, but this is a new one. So I'll say it again. Unstructured religion will allow you to have a single parents ministry. However, it will not give you the mindset to create a family ministry where you teach specifically on the importance of family. That is the one thing that we are missing in our community. When you look at gangs, when you look at drugs, when you look at the propensity to end up in prison, when you look at how right now African American girls are being basically engrafted into the prison system, these are our babies, these are our children. However, in unstructured religion, we don't, because we don't hold up the model of family, and we don't teach how important it is to have family, and we don't teach how important it is not to birth children without the benefit of family. Because we don't do those things, our children are have a more than likely, or have a greater percentage of chance to end up in the system. Right now the system is targeting Black girls as young as first, second, third grade. They are fourth grade, seventh grade. They are being targeted and brought into the juvenile system. These are our babies, right? These are our children, right? Right now, we know in our community we have gang violence. We're having more funerals than we are wedding receptions. This is the trend, right? This is what we've been subject to over the years, not realizing we were under the heavy arm of systemic racism and oppression, right? Those things take away all of the resources that we need in our community to be able to provide for our community, right? So then they don't have to stand in a prayer line and ask for deliverance, because quite frankly they have parents at home, right? Quite frankly they have people at home who are guiding them and teaching them, allowing them to grow and have these great experiences with life. But unfortunately, we live in a world where these people have us all figured out. Have you ever just thought about that? Have you ever thought about how do they have us as Black people all figured out? How do they know how many of us are going to end up in prison? How do they know how many of us are less likely to succeed? How do they know? Do they just wake up in the morning and off the top of their head while drinking coffee, they just say, guess what I know? Yeah, 40% of Black people are going to be at the poverty level. Sorry, I drank some coffee. Do they just wake up in the morning and are able to come to that conclusion? Listen, there is a scientific, right? There is a proven way that they know the likelihood of us not having success, and they can measure that based on community, based on environment, based on behaviors, based on lack of resources, based on all of this information. They can conclude where we are going to end up. They can conclude how many will end up in prison. They can conclude how many will go into the juvenile system, which if you want to Google juvenile facilities, Google juvenile facilities. It literally will tell you how many brand new facilities they are building. Okay. Next thing to Google. Google African American girls, right? Because I want you to understand who they are targeting when it comes to the juvenile system. Okay. Now, let me explain a few things from you. We're going to start talking about at this point. We're going to start talking about how do we, as African Americans, shift all of this so that we then can walk into our promise, right? As a church, as the people, as a community, how can we use that same information that they use to project and prophesy our demise? How can we use it to set us up for our future? That's what we want to talk about, okay? We are heavy into Jesus, right? He's our cornerstone, he's our rock, he's our everything. We are heavy. We're heavy into this. But what I want us to understand is there is a need for us to understand more deeply what our community needs. There was a paper, a research conducted by Dr. Sierra Glover. During this research, she concluded, and I didn't read the paper. I read the overview and some uh, what's the right word? I read some information about what it was all about. I just, that's the length of what I can say about it. So Dr. Sierra Glover, she conducted some research, and in her conclusion, or part of her conclusion, was there is a way, right, for the Black family to have an impact on our own children, on our own people, and literally turn this whole system around, right? This system was created years ago. Okay. And it's still very much in place. It's still very much intact. Sorry, this lighting is just killing me. It's still very much in place. It's still very much intact. Try to turn it down a little bit. Right. And they've been using it for years. It helped a little bit. How do we break this? Let me show you. Let me go through a couple of things that I just want to share with you guys. Number one, you'll hear me talk about wealth divide. Okay. If you have an opportunity, I still haven't done the last video clip, but I have in my YouTube catalog some video about the Black funnel. Okay. Let me show you what that will look like if you were to go look for it. I don't think you'll see this image, but it's about the Black funnel. The Black funnel is basically, with systemic racism, there are certain categories. Oh Lord, I don't want to get into that because I'm not sitting in my regular chair. Okay, hold on. Let me try to pull this up. Maybe I have it here somewhere. I should. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Funnel. I wonder if this is it. I wonder if this is it. I think it is. I'm taking a chance here, but let me see if this is it. Nope. Okay, take that out. Um, I think this has got to be it. Yeah. This is it. Okay. So the Black funnel is an imagery I came up with to help us really see and understand how they are able to capture us and continue to create white wealth, right? Because we are under or in this system of structured because we're in this system of systemic racism, is what I'm trying to say. There are certain elements that must be present in order for them to dictate or project where we will land, right? And so the black funnel outlines that. So here you go. Lack of safety, meaning you live in an environment where you don't feel safe. You're hearing gunshots, you're hearing sirens, people are being kidnapped, raped, all kinds of crazy, right? The hood, poor, low income areas, whatever you want to call it. Unstructured religion, I just talked about. Incarceration, I talked about the juvenile centers. Poor education, right? Or lack of education, having dysfunctional influences. All of your rappers that rap about having sex, having babies, using people, gunshots, drugs, unfair housing, which includes the dependency on Section 8, low income housing, all of that. Single parent homes, which we promote more than the structure of the family. Lack of jobs and retention of jobs. Again, that economic foundation that we need. Age early mental messages. That's also going back to the rappers. And even when you're sitting in school learning about slavery and they teach you slavery as if it was something that had to happen, they teach you that slavery was something that Black people participated in, or they teach you that in slavery, Black people, didn't want to be free and they were happy with where they were, and they served with some sense of pride white people. All of that, all of those messages are derogatory. They're not providing a good balance and a good foundation for Black people. Limited opportunities, you get the recycled results, you get white wealth. Okay. So the first thing I want us to start teaching and educating our people about is understanding what I call the wealth divide, breaking the curse of premature wealth division. Okay, so when I'm working my job 9 to 5 and I get to bring home a paycheck every week, that's my wealth, right? Though that is the part of my life where I'm able to create or make income that I will use to purchase a home, to purchase a vehicle, to purchase assets, to purchase stock shares, to purchase bonds, to accumulate things, right? Things that have value, right? Like things that if I get into a situation, if I pass away, these are things I could pass down to my children that will add value to their life, right? So you have things like jewelry, you have things like electronics, you have houses, cars, assets, right, that you can pass down to your children. I might buy some commercial property. After I buy my home for a while, I might decide to open up a business. So these are the things that contribute to your wealth as a family. It's your income, it's what you're able to bring in, is what you're able to build. These are the things that contribute to your family, that add wealth to your family, right? So when I talk about the wealth divide, I'm talking about, let's just imagine if you were to hold your arm out, right? This is you, right? This is your strength. This is your immediate family. This represents the people that live in your house. So this represents you going out and earning a paycheck. It's you, it's your wife, it's your car, it's your house, and then these are your children, right? That is the extent that I believe, that I promote, and that I am trying to share with you. This is the extent of your wealth. This is all the wealth you have to put out. This is all the wealth that you are responsible for. You are responsible for building this wealth, right? The wealth. You got health insurance, health coverage, food, shelter, way to get to work. You got transportation, all these basic things you need. Now, this is your strength. This is your wealth in the palm of your hands. The only way you do something outside of that, it would just have to be an extension, right? So if you own a house, but now you've decided to buy commercial property, buy rental property, do all of that, that's still your wealth. It's just being extended. Now, when your children decide to have children, that's wealth that then you then cross over and connect to help them build the same foundation you've already created. So this is your wealth that you are responsible for. And then you can go over here and you can help your children build their own system of wealth, right? Which gives the whole family wealth, right? Even more wealth. The problem is in a lot of Black homes, which is why 70% of our homes are single parent homes, which is a detriment to us. The problem is our wealth divide, right? Our wealth is divided prematurely. So here you are with your family that you're responsible for. You're the husband, and here's the wife, here's your car, here's your house, here are your children. The one of the things that happens is one child may have a child in your wealth system, in your foundation. And so now, before the child is actually ready, you got to connect with the child and start helping the child build their wealth system. That's going to take away from the wealth that we create. It's going to eliminate the possibility of what could have been had versus what we now have to do, right? I was speaking the other day on Clubhouse, and one of the leaders or a minister or a community person, we were having a conversation, and the conversation went like, the part of what he said went like this: well, we did a great thing. We supported some single moms, gave them all kinds of things, had this big baby shower and all of that. Okay, that's good. They need to help. We already know that. My thing is this though: why aren't we positioning ourselves, right, to help young women and young men understand how wealth is supposed to be the foundation and divided at the appropriate time? Because we all know that being a single parent is a direct route to struggle, right? It's a struggle story. Yeah, you got to help them. The baby's coming and all of that. But I think that's why this needs to be a conversation in the church, and it needs to be prioritized, because we need to understand how that early premature wealth division is affecting us. Okay. I think I painted it a good enough picture for you to get what I'm saying. So I'm not going to belabel that. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, I'm so glad you're catching on, by the way, is emotional healing when it comes to the church, setting the emotional balance in its proper place. Okay. Coming to church is not supposed to be therapy. Okay. I know it's therapeutic. I get that. I love that about church, because I can be feeling some type of way and go to church and hear the word of God, and I'll feel like, lightning just struck me, right? I'm on fire. Hopefully you don't hear me taking big gulps. The problem is, instead of people fixing their issues, they use church to reset them emotionally. Instead of figuring out, why am I in this condition? Why does my mind work this way? Why don't I have a good emotional balance, right? Why am I getting into relationships that do not benefit me? Why am I dependent on someone else to make me feel good, make me feel right, to make me feel desired, to make me feel anything? Why do I have this heavy dependence, right? Because coming to church is supposed to be about Jesus and you becoming a disciple and believing in Jesus Christ and going out and teaching people to do the same thing. Another part of it is also, having your mind right, right? He said, let this mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. A lot of scriptures are about the mind, right? Think on these things that are lovely, things that are just, things that are of a good report. If they have any virtue, if they have any praise, think on these things. I think that's Philippians 4:8. So you have all of this care, right, from God to let you know your mind has to be right. He says, with the mind that we love God, is the mind that we serve, is with the mind that we serve God. And so the mind is really important. But when you have emotional trauma, right, you have no father in the home, you have no mother in the home, whatever your emotional trauma is, whatever your emotional false attachments are, whatever that imbalance is, there's a real need for you to figure out what that thing is. So then church doesn't become a place of therapy to the point where you're not really progressing, is what I'm trying to say. You feel me? Like, put that in its proper place. If you're coming out of a divorce, okay, get you a therapist, join a group so that you can be healthy, have healthy thoughts, have a healthy life, and not be toxic to your children, not be toxic in your community, and not be toxic to yourself. That's a real thing. Like, you have to make sure you're fixing the things that need to be fixed and putting them in their proper place. If you've gone through divorce, if you're from a single parent home, if you've been through abuse, if you're a person that's depressed, right? Think about suicide all the time. If you're a person that overeats and you're just generally unhealthy. Of course, the word says, I want you to be in health, even as your soul prosper. I want you to prosper and be in good health. So don't be afraid to fix your emotions, right? Don't be afraid to heal on any level. The next thing, I think you guys got that. You do. I felt that. I felt like I transferred the message. Okay. I think I transferred it well. The next thing is the unprivate pain, right? Removing the pain stigma and rejecting the purpose attached to it as normal experiences. Look, we're African Americans. We've grown up in a country where, quite frankly, pain is expected, right? They expect us to endure pain. They expect us to be strong Black women. They expect us to go through hell. So, just to put it literally, they don't expect you to get treated well on jobs, and they expect you to be okay with that. They don't expect you to succeed in life, and they expect you to expect that you won't succeed in life. These are expectations. These are things that are normal, and these are things we should not normalize. We should not normalize the phrase baby mama and baby daddy. We should not normalize the phrase expect all men to cheat. We should not normalize things that bring us any form of pain or dysfunction, and then try to wrap it up in this sweet little donut called purpose. I totally reject that. I don't like it. And I think it sets us up to be comfortable failing. I think that's all it does, because we get to share this and everybody gets emotional and everybody can relate. It's kind of like gangsters, right? And the whole hip hop, which I'm not going to get into that. Started off hip hop with sending a message to let people know where Black people were and what we were suffering. And then they turned hip hop into a message of that, of course, is relatable, because if you grew up in the hood and you grew up poor, yeah, you can relate to the whole story of like a Tupac, where mama, don't you know I love you, sweet lady. He rapped about all of this stuff about the hood and what it was like all rappers do. And we can relate to that, because I grew up in the projects, right? Well, first I had the experience of growing up in a home that my father built, and we pretty much had decent money. And he built it on land that his father left him. And so, I seen my dad get a new truck, get a new car, and us have nice things. We dressed in the best clothes, before Black folks knew what polo was. We were wearing polo. Do you guys remember Duckhead? All kinds of stuff I can call out, but we were wearing, Eastlands. Y'all don't know about no Eastlands. All that, Nike, all this stuff. And a lot of people didn't even know what that was. They didn't know what it was like to walk in a department store. And this talking a long time ago. This was a long time ago. They didn't know what it was like to walk in a department store and spend $300, $400, $500 on clothes and shoes and stuff like that. And it was just you being out with your dad, having fun, spending money, stopping to get something to eat at a restaurant. Like, a lot of people didn't have that experience. So then, they got a divorce and we moved to the projects, the hood, whatever you want to call it, the ghetto. And I had a whole nother different experience, right? I had an experience where we had to dig in the garbage to collect cans so we could get food. People sold drugs, and, you had a whole different lifestyle. And because we can relate to that, we've now made it normalized and we've now made it our story. And quite frankly, it shouldn't be. So we have to start having these discussions about removing this pain stigma as a part of our lives. Look, there are some things that are going to come in life that are going to give you pain that you wish you never had to see. Right now, and over the last many, many years, I have a family member who has been dealing with cancer. Look, if nothing else happened in my life but this cancer situation with my loved one, that would be enough for me. You understand? I've lost jobs. I've suffered loss of my entire savings, right? There are things in life that can bring you pain and sadness and put you in a depressed state. You don't have to live it. Your life does not have to be the pattern of pain. And so we really need to speak to removing that pain stigma and rejecting the purpose attached to it as a normal experience. Can you see where I'm going with that? So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there because I started explaining stuff I already explained. The fifth thing is going to, not the fifth, the fourth, is signals of trauma. Have you ever evaluated your church? Have you ever evaluated your community? Have you ever evaluated and thought about what people are going through just based on the fact that that they are coming from a single parent household and how that's going to affect them? Have you ever thought about how the children in your community, most of them, their parents, excuse me, in some communities, their parents don't earn $50,000 a year or $30,000 a year, or God forbid, $25,000 a year. Do you know they can't afford school supplies? They can't afford a Chromebook. They cannot afford probably a laptop, right? They can't afford glasses. They can't afford to go to the doctor to check their hearing, right? And so how often do we evaluate our communities in terms of signals of trauma? Are you evaluating your congregation? Do you know what their needs are? Do you know the resources that you need to be trying to pull into your church? For example, promoting education. I mean, at the general basics of this, promoting family and education can really move us into realms we never even thought of. There's no way if I had a church that I wouldn't get up every Sunday morning and preach the importance of family. Like, there's just no way I wouldn't do that, because if you have a family intact, that family is the support system that every person needs, right? And I'm not talking about a toxic family. I'm not talking about people who drink and smoke and are wild and crazy and irresponsible. That's how would that be what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a support system. I'm talking about family that has values, right? Morals, standards, and expectations. And when you have those things in your community, when you have that present in your church, when you have that system built into your network of people, then you have a foundation. So, do you look for signals of trauma? Not so you can just patch them up, but to repair and to fix it permanently, right? So let's just say last year you did an evaluation and 50% of the young ladies in your church were single parents. Okay. How are you working to make that number 35% next year? How are you working to make that number 15% next year? Then how are you working to make that number 0? So, signals of trauma. Are you evaluating your congregation to know how prevalent domestic violence is in your church, in your community? How prevalent is gang violence? And that's probably a direct correlation to single parent homes within that community, right? Because those are the people who tend to join gangs. So do an evaluation of your congregation. I think I did that pretty good. What you think? It's a wrap? It's a wrap. Okay. Do not deflect. Confront, align, and maintain position. Okay. So a lot of people love grace. Mm. I had oral surgery years ago. So on one side of my mouth, okay, I'm totally digressing from the whole conversation. So let me give you this so you'll know whenever you hear me speak. I had oral surgery years ago and it severed the salivary gland on one side of my mouth. And so one side will salivate, and I'm sorry, excuse me. The other side is dry as a bone. Okay. And it gets painful after a while when I'm talking. And so I have to drink something, or it's so dry and so irritating. Back to what I was saying. Do not deflect, confront, align, and maintain position. Part of what I don't like is Grace Church. I don't like Grace Church because Grace Church doesn't like to take responsibility. It's like a lot of people who probably have trauma and are emotionally displaced or emotionally all over the place, who have not, remember I was talking about earlier about putting that emotional healing in the proper place. A lot of these people are emotionally very fragile, right? If you say boo to them, they will fall to pieces, which is why it's important. That's why I mentioned that piece earlier. So go back and watch that piece again. That's why I said that. When you have people who are emotionally fragile, emotionally tormented, life has really kicked their butt. You're talking about people who were adopted, came from a single parent home, suffered abuse, had everything and lost it, and now they just kind of lost their mind, and they really need to kind of come back. And then you're talking about people who are kind of, sometimes they're just set in their ways. They're like, hey, look, I'm not putting nobody down. I got pregnant when I was young. My mom was pregnant when she was young, and now my daughter pregnant when she was young. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to her about nothing, because ain't none of y'all know better than her. Okay, so but that's deflecting, right? That's going away from what the conversation should be about, because the conversation should be about family, right? It should be about creating a system within our family that creates a great foundation for us to build from, right? Because that's what the church is all about. That's what your family is all about. Create this great foundation that you can build from. So whenever we're not ready to have that conversation and to bring that conversation back to that point, then we're deflecting, right? We might be trying to sprinkle some grace on a conversation that really needs to just come back and focus on the family. That really needs to just come back and focus on this roadmap that God has already laid out for us. So don't deflect, right? Yes, grace, have your grace, sprinkle your Jesus, and do all of that, because what other choice do you have, right? The baby's already coming, right? What other choice do you have? They already cheated on their wife. What other choice do you have? They already stole and lied about it. Okay, so yes, you can say, God will forgive you, sprinkle some grace on it. Let's realign. I'm going to maintain my position as a leader that what you did was wrong and there needs to be a change in behavior. And this cannot be something that becomes a contagion in our church. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you let things just go and you walk away from staying on the right path, you're going to create an opportunity for chaos to slip in. And then when chaos slips in, chaos likes to become normal, right? Chaos, people say if you can stay in an abusive relationship so long until you'll forget it's abuse, because you'll get comfortable with pain. So don't run away from it. You don't have to dog people out because they made a human error, but at the same time, confront it, align, or get it realigned, and maintain your position, right? Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I think we covered all the bases, and I think we did a really good job, and I'm super proud of you. Yes, you, for staying and watching this video and for participating and for learning. I am Kathleen, your conscious coach, and this conversation was all about the 5 discussions that to prioritize in the Black church. Just to go over it a little bit again: understanding the wealth divide, emotional healing, setting the emotional balance in its proper place, unprivate pain, removing the pain stigma and rejecting the purpose attached to it as normal experiences, signals of trauma, evaluation of the congregation, and do not deflect, confront, align, and maintain your position. Woo, child. I'm trying not to go over my hour, so I do want to say thank you for joining me for this Conscious Hour. I am Kathleen, your conscious coach. You have a great day. Happy Sunday to you. Stay safe. Protect yourself from that nasty old coronavirus. Wash your hands. Continue to wear your mask and do all that the CDC has asked us to do. To purchase any book from the Conscious Book Collection, follow the link in my bio on Instagram or Facebook, and you can purchase any of the books you see behind me. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for watching.